Welcome everybody and thank you very much for joining us. So today we're joined by Roche from the Northern Training Academy, Mel Hoare from Blue Q Travel and Ethan
Hello.
Field from Blue Q Travel as well. So thank you everybody for taking time out to share and join our panel session.
Hello.
So I guess to kickstart the panel session today, do you want to go around and give everybody an idea of how you started in the industry and obviously how long you've been within the industry for as well? So Joe, do you want to kick us off?
Right, well, I'm not going to say how long I've been in the industry because that would then be giving away my age. But yeah, I've been in travel for ever and ever a day and fell into the training side sort of 20 odd years ago and have been passionate about that ever since. I started off with Thomas Cook straight from college because I was too old at the time to get an apprenticeship. So I was turned down because I was just over 18 and at that time I had to be 16. So yeah, I just went to college and then got into travel after that.
Perfect. And Mel, from your side?
Hi, well, I've been in travel since the tender age of 16 and I started off on what was then known as a YTS, Youth Training Scheme, which is today's apprenticeship. I actually didn't think of anything else that I could possibly do other than work in travel. It was something that I always had a passion for, always wanted to do. Was lucky to get on a youth training scheme via ABTA, and I started off in retail travel. Did that for probably only about 6 years, then moved into corporate travel, worked at some large investment banks, and then moved on to work for a smaller independent corporate firm before starting my own 17 years ago now. So, but it feels like it's gone by in a heartbeat. So I'm a great believer in apprentices and apprenticeships. And I think, you can become great things from it. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And Ethan, I think you're probably the only pure-blood business travel agent, aren't you?
Yeah, I suppose so.
From business travel background.
Yeah, I mean, I joined the industry at 16 as well. I'll be in the industry 3 years in August coming up. Yeah, and the first role I've been in is a corporate travel role. And yeah, now I've started in business admin, worked my way throughout the business, and kindly got my feet set up in sales and account management.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for introducing yourself and give us an idea of how everybody got into travel. It seems as if, as I mentioned before, Ethan's the only one who started in business travel and is still there at the moment, because I know from my point of view as well, I started in retail travel 12 years ago, stacking brochures as it was back in the very beginning, those good old days.
We remember.
So I guess, Joe, just to kick off, around apprenticeships, there's a lot of myths and misconceptions about the fact that apprenticeships are only for young people. Is this true or is it not? And what's your view on it?
It's absolutely not true. And unlike my experience donkeys years ago under the old YTS, and yes, I do remember YTS as well, it was very, very much youth training. Today's apprenticeships, the word is wrong, really. It shouldn't. When we start talking about apprenticeships, I think people automatically think it's the young, it's the 16s or 18s who didn't go to college. But apprenticeships are so much more than that nowadays, and over the years it's evolved and evolved and evolved. So all apprenticeships are open for all ages between 16. They have an upper limit of 65. But amazingly, we do have some 70-year-olds who actually do want to do apprenticeships, but the government has stipulated 65. So it's open to all, so that is a complete myth.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for clearing that up, because I know it's one of the frustrations that people do perceive apprenticeships as just being very much about entry level into a business, and that it happens as you leave school or college. However, I think, anybody can be an apprentice, and that kind of even stretches into learning and development within a role as well. Yes. I think a lot of time people don't realise that learning and development within a job once you're already in there is actually technically part of an apprenticeship too.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, because I think, again, that people think of apprentices as being brand new into a business, 16, 17-year-old, and they are entry level, as you say, from the ground up and, working their way through. But it does also apply to people who are already in employment, who need developing and stretching and putting into different roles. So apprenticeships now are right from entry level GCSE equivalent right through to master's level at level 7. So really there is such a massive variety of apprenticeships out there that are applicable for everybody in work. Yeah.
Fab. So I guess from the Northern Training Academy's point of view, you've got a 25+ strong team that cover a whole range of different disciplines when it comes to apprenticeship and learning and development. So can you give us an idea of what is actually on offer and kind of what you can provide?
Yeah, I mean, they're actually called apprenticeship standards now, and there's countless number of apprenticeships that you can actually do. The ones that we broadly offer around the business, customer service. We do a lot on retail, we're doing travel, but we also have management ones as well, team leading, supervisory. We have learning mentor, assessor, coach. So really whatever people need, there is some standard that will actually fit. Because Ethan had said he did business admin, and that's basically what you can do with a standard. You can tailor it to make it fit that work situation and the most appropriate standard available. So it's limitless and limitless at the levels as well. So yeah, they're very, very strong offering nowadays out there.
And Mel, from your perspective, obviously as one of the co-founders of Blue Cube Travel, you've completely integrated apprenticeships and learning and development in this way into the business from the start. So do you use any funding to be able to do that within the business?
We do. First of all, I'd just like to say I wholeheartedly agree with everything that Joe has said, and I can sort of speak more about on how we've integrated all those different forms within Blue Cube. But regard to funding, because we're a smaller company, we have a salary bill of less than £3 million per annum. We don't actually pay into an apprenticeship levy fund, which larger companies have to do. So the way it works for us is that if we're looking to take on an apprentice or upskill somebody that's already within the workforce, the government will pay 95% for that course for them to do, and we as a company only have to contribute 5% towards that. So it's a bit of a no-brainer really when it comes to training. As a business owner, as a company, we know how expensive training can be, and this is a really, really inexpensive way to do it. If you're a company that's not paying in, if you're a company that is already paying in, then it's, you know, that money's already sitting there, so it may as well be used to take on an apprentice or upskill some of your current workforce.
Absolutely. And Joe, there was some pretty exciting news that came out.
Yes.
Do you want to talk us through
yesterday.
that?
Yeah, it was great news really, this kickstart. And it was interesting you said kickstart, Lee, because that is exactly what the government are trying to do. So there's the funding being put in for apprenticeships and traineeships as well. I mean, there's quite a lot of technical detail, and Mel's got into quite a lot about sort of the difference between levy and non-levy. So I don't think that that's relevant now, but it's really just the message is that every company of whatever size can access government funding. They don't get it paid directly to them, but it pays the funding for people like ourselves to come and provide the high quality training that they need and that they're looking for. So I think if anybody has any specific questions around funding and how to use levies and what the logistics are, I'm more than happy offline to sort of take any inquiries if people come to you about it. So obviously pass on my details if that is relevant.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, obviously when we first went into the whole apprenticeship thing, we were very naive about it. We didn't know how it worked. You know, it's when you don't know or understand about something, you kind of automatically think it's going to be a complicated, lengthy process, but it really, really isn't. And the training providers you use, people like Joe, really kind of take that out of your hands. There's very little for you to do other than sort of support that individual within your organization. All of the sort of administrative side and that kind of stuff, a lot of it, you know, you're not completely Form 3, but a lot of it is taken on board by the training provider that you're using.
I guess one of the big things that everybody probably wants to understand and wants to know about is the impact that it actually has on business itself. So the tangible impact, because I think a lot of the time people can get lost in the fact that it is very time intensive to have obviously a trainee within the business, regardless of whether that's upskilling or somebody new into the business. However, the impact can be huge, as I think, you know, you've seen.
Yeah, well, the way it's worked for us, so there's twofold to that. So initially, when we first started, we took on 3 apprentices just because we had numerous people come in for interviews, well, not too many, but there were these 3 particular young girls, and they were also amazing. We couldn't decide. We only wanted one, but we ended up taking all 3. 2 of which are still with us today. The 3rd one decided to go to uni, so that's fine. So sort of starting from that, once they sort of completed their apprenticeship and we took on the next round, then they helped the new apprentice, which I think actually then was you, Ethan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So actually once you get the first round in, you can actually already take some of the burden away from yourself by having the old apprentices help train the new ones. So that's sort of one level of it. But also maybe we were a bit of an aging workforce at Blue Cube, if you can call sort of 35 to 45 aging. So it's actually added a really lovely, nice new dynamic to our office. And also our client base was getting younger and younger. You know, I know we've spoke about it's not all about young people, but, you know, a young person minds and thinks differently to, you know, a 50-year-old woman like myself. So actually we're dealing with like tech firms and you go in there and they're all sort of like 20 to 25. And it just sort of seems right that you kind of have at least some of your workforce at that age that can maybe understand maybe what their potential needs would be in the future, and actually to be able to add some insight to what it is that you're already doing, like just a completely fresh overview. And the type of people that we took on were, sorry, apologies for that. The type of people we took on, we wanted them to challenge what it was that we were doing, and be outspoken and have a voice, and question why we did things. And I think, you know, we've sat here as a company and for the last sort of 10 or 15 years and just did things because we thought they worked, but people stopped questioning them. And then the moment you get some sort of new fresh blood in, if you want to call it that, they start kind of going, well, why do you do that? And it kind of makes you sort of sit and think, well, why do we do that? And why do we do it like that? So, you know, some things we've changed. Ethan has been amazing in bringing some new technology into the business and creating a whole intranet program for Blue Cube, but I'll let him talk more about that. But even just the sort of, you know, the conversations that you get in the kitchen and the breakout areas, you know, it's just added a whole new dynamic. The people that have been here for a longer length of time, they have become sort of quite proud of what they want to do, and it's kind of given them another inspiration to kind of sort of look at themselves and kind of go, actually, this, you know, I am good at this, and this person here is really interested in what I've got to say. So it kind of just boosts morale all round, really.
It challenges people's views, doesn't it? And as
it does, yeah.
It forces everybody to up their game, because when you've got obviously new talent, regardless of whether that's young or somebody entering even on an apprenticeship beyond 24, 25, then it kind of, it's a different perspective coming into the business, and it challenges you to think, doesn't it?
And some of the more long-standing people within the company, we've got a few of them now doing degree level apprenticeships. They're doing the upskilling, which is something we probably would have been blissfully unaware of had we not initially started, you know, with the younger people that we've got. So it's really kind of, you know, they've watched them do it and watched them learn and watch them progress and all of that kind of stuff. And you know, a lot of them are really, really delighted that they've now got the opportunity to do the same at the, you know, grand old age of, you know, 35 or 40 or whatever it may be.
I think, Mel, but Mel, you said about the ICT side and the sort of the technology, that, you know, when they do apprenticeships at an older age, a lot of the standards do have the ICT elements in there, so they get that development, which is great, because you've got people who grew up without computers and maybe do not even access computers now, that need to be more engaged, and they love it. You know, they find it really challenging, but it boosts their morale because they're suddenly learning this massive new skill that all the young people just take for granted. They've all got it, they all have mobile phones, etc., coming off their fingers. And, you know, I think it's just bringing the older workforce back into line with what the new world looks like, and it gives them those opportunities too.
Absolutely. And I guess, Ethan, from your point of view, that's definitely something that you're going to want to continue to do, isn't it? To develop and potentially even go into that degree level learning.
Definitely. And I think going back to what Mel said with the contrast in, you know, the work age, you know, the difference, it's, you know, we all learn stuff off each other. You know, I learn a lot from, you know, managers and stuff like that. You know, when you never feel, you know, restricted to ask questions. You know, it's always very free. You know, if you want to challenge a reason, why do you do things like that? They might sit back and think, actually, yeah, why do we do things like that? Or they will give you a reason why things are done like that. And it, you know, it opens it up and it's clearer for the way things are done. But yeah, definitely, I think apprenticeships are the way forward for it.
Amazing. So I guess, Mel, coming back over, I do have a question that I want to ask, which is around the elephant in the room that we haven't addressed yet. That has been obviously the global pandemic of coronavirus. And I just wanted to understand from your perspective, is this the end of apprenticeships, or what's your view? What do you think?
Well, firstly, darn COVID-19. You know, I think it's, you know, the travel industry is kind of hitting a really, really low point. But for me, the way I look at that is the only way is up, really. It can't get much worse. I fear it might get a little tad worse. Don't want to tempt fate. But, you know, at some point it's got to get better and it's got to improve. So, you know, I have a great belief that, you know, the travel industry is here to stay. We are always going to be looking for new people to join the industry. You know, people with, you know, enthusiasm about the industry, you know, a drive, a sort of willingness to learn, and, you know, people with a personality, right? That's, I think, you know, what I'm always looking for when we're looking for individuals to join Blue Cube, because I think you can teach a person how to use something, but you can't teach a person how to be. So if there's anybody out there watching, they're the sort of people that we're looking for, and they're the sort of people that the industry will always need. As I say, maybe with a slight pause for now, but I truly believe it will get back on its feet, because the people that are already in it are doing absolutely everything they can to keep it alive.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And I think that's the sentiment all across the industry, isn't it? So, you know, fingers crossed that we get back to that side of the recovery point fairly quickly.
We will.
And it is resilient. Travel is renowned for being resilient. So yeah, absolutely.
I'm optimistically hopeful, and I refuse to be anything other than that. So yeah,
agreed. We will. So Jo, from your side, have you seen any or had any conversations that would counter that view of optimism from Jo?
Yeah, we work with across many sectors of industry, travel being one of them, and I think there is a lot of enthusiasm now for thinking, you know, this is an opportunity to really, really get ourselves back on our feet, because obviously the travel industry has been massively impacted, but also retail, other sectors that we work with have equally been really heavily affected. They're seeing this whole new apprenticeship drive as a way of kickstarting their own companies too, and seeing it as a real opportunity to just get back to normal as soon as possible, or some kind of normal, new normal, whatever it is. And that they really, really are quite, not excited, because obviously there's going to be redundancies, there's going to be changes, but there is an opportunity to reignite the whole of the UK, essentially, and get us all back going.
Absolutely agree. So I guess, Ethan, you know, it's been 3 years now, in August, since obviously you joined Blue Cube. You've gone through that first phase of learning and development and through the apprenticeship course. Over that time, can you tell us a little bit more about the new initiatives that Mel had alluded to, where you've had a huge impact on the business, and also your view on the time there so far?
Yeah, no, I think over my 3 years, I've been involved in so much and had so many opportunities to learn and build, and, you know, knowledge. Yeah, it's with apprenticeships, the more you put in, the more you get out of it. And I think your training providers and your managers will see when that is happening. And like with being able to travel, you know, at 18 to a different country for work, I never thought in my life I would ever like be doing that at that sort of age. That was an amazing experience for me. You know, flying to Frankfurt, being involved in one of our biggest clients' hotel program. You know, making sure that they've got hotels in, I think, maybe 15 different countries and stuff like that. Building the intranet as well. I asked the question. I said, why are we saving stuff like this? Why is it so long-winded when we can all just get centralized information, because people ask for different things, just put it all in one place. And it wasn't just me. I did have help from other people around the business and other apprentices as well that helped me with it. One of our IT apprentices, he helped me quite a bit as well with it and helped me construct it. And we just learn off each other, and it's just, we can all, we literally grow together.
Absolutely.
I think even the opportunity that Ethan is actually getting to speak now, and you know, Ethan, sorry, I'm jumping on your stage here, but you know, you've spoken before in front of a live audience of people, something that still sort of puts the fear of God into me now. But so I'm quite passionate about getting all of our younger members of staff up, you know, on stage and being vocal as much as humanly possible. And you know, just opportunities like that as well, I think it's really character building to be able to do something like that. And you know, it takes a lot of nerve, really, I think, as well. So well done. I think we've sometimes got to remember, you know, and I don't mean this in a condescending way at all, Ethan, but you know how young these people are. I don't think I could have stood on a stage at 18 in front of 600 people and spoke. It would just, wouldn't have happened ever. Not even now.
Who was also there, it was pretty daunting, but I think, Ethan, to be fair, we smashed it at WTM. So I think, we did extremely well on that panel session, because it was a pretty big stage on the global stage. So congratulations.
And I think what that shows is the range of opportunity that's been open to somebody like Ethan. You know, when he joined working in our reservations team. He kind of made it known, because it was comfortable enough for him to be able to voice his opinion that, you know, ideally that is not where he would like to stay, and where he would like to move was into sort of sales and account management. So we allowed him to sort of dip his toe in that water. And he got on really, really well, and that's where he is now. But then he's also been involved in the intranet, also been involved in some public speaking, also been involved in sort of traveling to conferences abroad, not necessarily to speak, but just to sort of attend. So in a very short space of time. And I would say truthfully that not everybody at Blue Cube has had such a wide range of experience as Ethan, but Ethan has wanted that experience, and you know, and for other people like us all, you know, they're quite happy, you know, they've come into reservations, they love reservations, and that's where they want to stay, so that's great. Or they've come into IT and that's where they want to stay. But I think from an employee and an employer perspective, I think you kind of got to recognize when you've got something good, and if somebody is willing to or wanting to find out about other areas of the business, if you've got the capacity to allow them to do that, because you might just sort of stumble across a gem that you didn't realize you had. So
and I think from our experience, that's absolutely been the thing that employers have turned around and said, I really never knew that person had that capability, but they've never asked the question before. And it's the people who have put themselves forward, absolutely desperate to get development, to get training, that are coming forward, and the employers are benefiting from that, because they're suddenly getting this very highly motivated, switched on workforce that they didn't even know they had, and they've kind of squandered their skill, really. So I think that's what apprenticeships can do for an employer, is to really highlight people like Ethan who come in to do one thing but obviously have skill and, you know, enthusiasm to do other things and develop that further.
Well, and also, I mean, it's raised the profile of our company. You know, we've been in the trade press because of the work that we've done with apprentices, but I probably wouldn't be sitting on this panel here today if it wasn't for Ethan speaking at the WTM last year. So I'm actually only here because of him. So, you know, thanks,
Well, I'm
Ethan.
pretty glad that you can all join. And thank you, obviously, again, Ethan, for joining us for a second time, and Mel for the first time, and Joe as well. Well, I guess at the end of the day, this panel session was called Learn as You Earn. And that's pretty much what you've just summarised there, Ethan, for us quite nicely. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us and taking time, obviously, out of your busy schedule. And thank you very much. And here's to the success of everybody in the future as well. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks.
Here's hoping. Thanks very much, Lee.
Good luck, everybody.
Yeah, good luck too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.